Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we have Tony on a 4-color Euro versus Peter on a weird bug list. Astrolabe starting out for Tony. This is the last few events where Astrolabe, Dreadhorde Arcanist, and Oko were legal. And as we see here, a basic mountain enabling Ponder. Something that we're just not going to be seeing in the new meta, those dual lands going up in value. And now Astrolabe, not really a budget answer. So just generally a good idea to get your dual lands. So they have retraced a little bit from their peak. Still over $1,000 for a Mint Underground Sea. And Wasteland currently no good target, but looks like Leovold really making great use out of those Wastelands. That's another thing to consider, the role of Wasteland in a multicolored deck, particularly like a 3-color deck. It is a lot stronger when you've got Astrolabe as that colorless mana. No longer a hindrance with mana-hungry spells like Leovold. Yeah, we're really seeing the subtle power of Astrolabe here. Oh, and a big oof as Daze counterspells the Hull Breacher. That is brutal. End step, jamming that Hull Breacher, and now a Teferi with 1 open, but he will not be around for... Oh, I guess he's actually going to bounce the Leovold, allowing Peter to draw a card. Leovold will just be coming right back down. We'll see if Tony has an answer for it. There he is. Teferi can tick up, but he won't be doing anything to handle the situation. Ice Fang could be very strong. And passing the turn with some mana open. I don't know. It's an interesting question in terms of bluffing. Another Astrolabe. It is very likely Peter just has to clear this Teferi. Even if you expect your opponent to have an Ice Fang, they don't have to play it until you commit to blocking. And a Hull Breacher, and this one will trade as no instant speed counterplay available to Peter thanks to the Teferi. So not as good as an Ice Fang, no extra value, but clearing Leovold is no small thing, especially if you can do it without giving your opponent any extra advantage. And now Oko, and we will see which Planeswalker is stronger. Oko's making a food, and that food can clear this Teferi on its own. Oko, so much loyalty. Now, Teferi to me feels kind of like a little bit of a time bomb. He ticks up, and eventually you get the ability to use his bounce, and you draw another card. And at that point, I feel like you're really pulling pretty far ahead of most situations. You know, you already got a card out of it. You're kind of card neutral. You're shutting down your opponent's counterspells. You're messing with their ability to play instants effectively and make good use of their mana. And then you got another card on top of it. Man, does that feel good. But that loyalty stays low the whole time. Contrast that with Oko, where the loyalty just keeps building and you just start running away with the game. One of these cards is kind of like that slow ticking time bomb. The other is just an absolute just nuclear strike. Just full of elks spilling out onto the board and overwhelming your opponent. He makes the Elks out of the food. You can also cash in your Astrolabes to get even more aggressive. I mean, Oko can single-handedly take down so many games. Green Sun Zenith's this interesting card. We've got Peter playing it. Prior to the bannings, there was a decent amount of Bant going around. Just blue-green. I guess blue-green's the only necessary color combination there, but point was, blue deck with green using Green Sun Zenith, kind of with the philosophy of like a toolbox, thinking that if you were going to try and ponder and find a creature anyways, you might as well just Green Sun Zenith and just get that creature that you want right into the battlefield. And that there's something to be said for that. Now, Narset is here, and she has brought an Oko to the yard. And Tony may need to convert one of these Astrolabes into a 3/3 just to not get too far behind. Keeping these Planeswalkers on the board of the utmost importance. And that is what happens. We get a 3/3. Narset. Pretty brutal in terms of denying card draw. That can be very important in these blue mirrors as well. And yeah, we've got a bit of a slog here. Mystic Sanctuary showing up thanks to a fetch land. And that's another great printing, or at least an interesting one. We'll see how people feel about the play lines that it creates. Okay, so it looks like we've got some switching of Astrolabes for Elks. Thanks to Oko's just ridiculously high loyalty. And both of these Planeswalkers getting cleared. We've been seeing a bit of that last mode on Oko. Green Sun Zenith. The last mode, switching permanents, has been, I'd say, underappreciated. Didn't really see it that much on camera for the most part. It was make some Elks, smash face, get this thing done, answer a Chalice at the Void. Oko's done a lot of stuff on camera, but in the last couple of weeks, I've noticed more and more of that swapping just being like a game-breaking play. And, you know, it barely makes a dent in his loyalty sometimes. It's crazy. We've seen times where he's got like 12 loyalty, and you're just switching, and it's really not a big deal. I feel like they pretty well got him wrong in terms of the pricing or the cost of everything on him. Yeah, Tony's digging, ponder, brainstorm, trying to find a way, but he's facing down an Oko and some Elk, and that is going to do it. Yeah, I mean, that is really tough. Tony had his own Oko, but ultimately Peter's side of the board ends up so far ahead. And it's as far as a tournament consideration goes, this is interesting because Tony now needs to win 2 to win this match, and they ate up a significant amount of time off the clock. That was not a short game. So sometimes these control matchups, whoever wins the first game is nearly guaranteed to win the match, as Peter has no reason to take a super aggressive line. If he just kind of thwarts Tony step by step, he could find himself in a close, solid, well-fought game that just ends up going to time. Skipping ahead there, Tony's going to fetch a Misty Rainforest. That was not bad. Just did that manually. Usually I'd pause it and try and get it just right, but rather be lucky than good. Tony has a Relic of Progenitus, and this may be tech that Tony has tested in terms of curtailing Uro, keeping that graveyard empty, and then eventually cashing it out for a card if need be. It's very interesting. Not an obvious choice. Not a given that that's going to end up being something you're happy to have in a control mirror. Potentially dead card's strong because it replaces itself, but kind of an inefficient card. And Sylvan Library starting things out here with Peter potentially gaining a huge advantage. Oh, and Daze has been awesome for Peter this match. Wow. Peter just denying a Teferi with Daze, and that feels so powerful. And, that's really the type of thing that Sylvan Library tends to do as well. At 2 mana, your opponent really needs to answer it. They can't take a turn and putz around, pondering and brainstorming and trying to answer stuff later. If you want, when you've got Sylvan Library out, you can just draw multiple extra cards and put yourself so far ahead. The fact that Uro gains you that life back. Sylvan Library, you're paying 4 life for a card, and Uro can make that up so easily. Uro plus Sylvan, you're basically outdrawing your opponent 3-1 minimum, as you're gaining 3 life every time he attacks. You can pay 4 life just to get an extra card off of Sylvan, and then Uro gets you another card. It's a pretty brutal pairing. This Relic may be able to stop Uro from doing his thing, but the Sylvan, even if you don't gain the life back, it's not like your life total is being pressured in this matchup. And there's the Oko. Yeah, he can gain you some life as well. The pairing of Sylvan Library and Oko also very strong. And that food from Gilded Goose just turned into an elk. Getting in there. Yeah, 6 damage returns, just a serious clock. So both graveyards being exiled. As Tony cashes that in, draws a card. And passing the turn, and that cannot feel good. Yeah, 6 damage from a couple of elks is more than enough to close out a game. You're typically just talking about the course of 3 turns. And that's not a lot of time to make stuff happen with the top of your library. If you're taking 3 damage a turn against a Delver of Secrets, that can be pretty bad for you. But you do have chances. You do have potential cards that you can draw. Oh, and it looks like, is this Zur's Weirding? Talking about cards you can draw, I do not believe Tony's going to have any options now. Force of Negation. Okay, he's still in it. Zur's Weirding would effectively lock Tony out of the game, allowing Peter to pay 2 life to prevent additional cards from ever getting into Tony's hand. Tony's got some counterplay here, but this Oko still remaining unchallenged on board. Yeah, both abilities being a plus. It is something. 7 casual, 7 loyalty. Got the original art, Sylvan Library. Do love that original art, very dark. Original Magic art really just had so many different looks to it, and I think that's probably for the best. I do enjoy Original Magic's variety in terms of the possibilities. Things like Living Wall, just so crazy looking. Even Wall of Swords. Alright, Abrupt Decay, taking out this Sylvan Library. And an off-camera 3 casting cost card that sticks. I'm going to guess it's a Leovold. Now, that actually wouldn't make sense. What would that 3-drop be? Leovold just wouldn't make sense because an Abrupt Decay was just used on a Sylvan Library. You wouldn't really have a reason to want to get rid of your opponent's Sylvan if you have a Leovold. Just let him pay 8 life for nothing. Swords to Plowshares. Targets. Gives a treasure. Oh, it is a Leovold. He goes to draw a card when the targets, so... Alright. So a treasure made for Tony. And Hull Breacher, for the most part, I've enjoyed seeing it alongside the Draw 7s. Echo of Aeons, of course, the main one. We've got an Elking, thanks to Uro buffing the Hull Breacher to a 3/3. Sadly losing the abilities, though, which is really what it's all about. And a second Sylvan Library, this one from Commander Collection Green. Now, those are interesting. I just got in a few of them from my distributor. I was somewhat shocked that they had extra. I was under the impression that they were going to be more along the lines of the From the Vault series than the Spellbook series. Now, Containment Priest getting denied by Force of Will. Yeah, Containment Priest is a hilarious card with Dryad Arbor. Synergy. Anytime that you have an interaction where you have to explain to your opponent why they just really done goofed is, I don't know, maybe I have a black heart. It just warms my heart a little bit, where it's just a really neat but devastating interaction. So if you Green Sun Zenith for a Dryad Arbor and your opponent has a Containment Priest, you can choose the Dryad Arbor. And it does not work out well. I mean, the really funny thing is just someone playing a Dryad Arbor, fetching it or playing it, because it is a creature, so you didn't cast it. It's going to get exiled. So I guess Green Sun Zenith they probably wouldn't do, but they could fetch with a Containment Priest and just not realize the interaction. But Peter has some Green Sun Zenithing that he wants to do, hence not allowing that Containment Priest. An Astrolabe. But man, this feels very, very unlikely for Tony to be able to get back into this with a Uro pile. And yeah, all right. Apparently that's all I need to say. Once it starts to feel hopeless, apparently the other player is in the same boat. But yeah, that is it. Just a overwhelming advantage, card advantage, board presence, all of it. And we will not have very much more of that, though, on the channel. We are almost out of Oko games, so the new meta is incoming. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.